Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning for the Great Lakes Great Books 2022-23 award announcement. The Great Lakes Great Books Award was established in 1987 by the Michigan Reading Association. The frequency and categories in which the award is given have fluctuated since its inception, becoming an annual award in 1996 and solidifying into the current 5 categories in 2005. The purpose of this award is to celebrate recent literature with Michigan students with literary merit and kid appeal, and that present multiple points of view, while highlighting the election process in the selection of the winners. My name is Jessie Schertz. I am the chair this year of the Michigan Great Lakes Great Books Award. I am also the library director of the Ishpeming Carnegie Public Library, located in Ishpeming, Michigan, which is in the Upper Peninsula. This is my 12th year serving on the committee and my second year as chair. I'm very excited to, again, be able to announce the winners to all of you. I'd like to take a moment and just thank all of the committee members for an enormous amount of time spent reading, vetting, suggesting, and discussing some phenomenal children's books this year and every year. The committee is made up of Michigan teachers and librarians who read broadly across children's books published in the current year and 1 year previous to create our list of nominees. Outside nominations from the public and publishers are also considered. We love receiving nominations from Michigan residents. There will be information on how to submit those towards the end of this broadcast. 8 nominees are chosen each year for each of the following 5 categories: kindergarten first grade, second and third grade, fourth and fifth grade, sixth through eighth grade, and ninth through 12th grade, for a total of 40 nominees each year. Michigan students vote on their favorite books in their category. Winners are determined by the number of votes each title receives. The book with the most votes is our winner, and so on, in descending order with up to 2 honor books. Winners of the current year and nominees for the next year are announced at the Michigan Reading Association's annual conference held in March, which is this. The committee maintains a web presence on the Michigan Reading Association's website, michiganreading.org, and on social media. We are at MishGLG Books on Facebook and Twitter, and at Great Lakes Great Books on Instagram. I'll share both of these ways to contact us again at the end. Let's move on to our announcement. So this is for the 2022-23 award winners. The reason there are 2 years in the title is that 2022 is the year these books were announced as nominees and kids voted, and in 2023 now is when the award is given. So that's why there are 2 years in each title. We will go in reverse order. So I'll share the second honor book, first honor book, and then the winner for each category. All right, let's start with kindergarten, first grade. This is so exciting. I always love to see what books the kids enjoyed the most out of all the nominees. So, kindergarten, first grade, our first honor book is Butterflies Are Pretty Gross by Rosemary Mosco, illustrated by Jacob Suva, published by Tundra Books, an imprint of Penguin Random House of Canada. Our first honor book is, it's just knocked over a whole pile. There's a Skeleton Inside You by Idan Ben Barak, illustrated by Julian Frost, published by Roaring Brook Press, an imprint of Holtzbrink Publishing Holdings Limited Partnership. And the winner, overwhelming winner in the kindergarten first grade category, is Fitz and Cleo by Jonathan Stutzman and Heather Fox, published by Henry Holt & Company, an imprint of Macmillan Publishing Group. Also, shout out to Engadine Library for having a Great Lakes Great Books label on it. Made my day. Alrighty, moving to our second and third grade winners. The second honor book is Drop, An Adventure Through the Water Cycle by Emily Kate Moon, published by Dial Books for young readers, an imprint of Penguin Random House, LLC. You have to forgive me. There's a lot of reflection when you use library books with plastic covers. Our first honor book for 2-3 is Watercress. Andrea Wang, illustrated by Jason Chin, published by Neil Porter Books, an imprint of Holiday House. Also mirrored. The winner of our 2-3 category is Crossings, Extraordinary Structures for Extraordinary Animals, written by Katie S. Duffield, illustrated by Mike Oradon, published by Beach Lane Books, an imprint of Simon & Schuster's Children's Publishing Division. Alrighty. Moving into intermediate grades, 4-5. Our first honor book is The Deep and Dark Blue by Nikki Smith, published by Little Brown and Company, an imprint of Hachette Book Group. Our second honor book in 4-5 is Starfish by Lisa Phipps, published by Nancy Paulson Books, an imprint of Penguin Random House, LLC. And the overwhelming winner in 4-5 category is Unspeakable, The Tulsa Race Massacre by Carol Boston Weatherford, illustrated by Floyd Cooper, published by Carol Rhoda Books, an imprint of Lerner Publishing Group. Now to middle school. Grades 6-8, our second honor book is What About Will by Ellen Hopkins, published by G.P. Putnam Sons, an imprint of Penguin Random House. Honor book, 6-8, is Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston, published by Balzer and Bray, an imprint of HarperCollins Publishers. Our winner in 6-8, fan favorite, Ground Zero, a novel of 9/11 by Alan Gratz, illustrated by Scholastic Press, an imprint of Scholastic Incorporated. On to high school, our 9th through 12th grade. So many wonderful nominees. Our second honor book is Legendborn by Tracy Dion, published by Margaret K. McElderry Books, an imprint of Simon & Schuster's Children's Publishing Division. Second honor book, our first honor book in 9-12 is recognizable one, Fairykeeper's Daughter by Angeline Bully, published by Henry Holt and Company, an imprint of Macmillan Publishing Group. The winner in our 9th through 12th grade award, The Girl from the Sea by Molly Knox Ostertag, published by Graphics, an imprint of Scholastic. All right, it's always so exciting. So that concludes the announcement of the winner portion. However, we have a whole lot more to talk about. Each year, our committee reads hundreds of books. We add the absolute best to what we consider to be the absolute best to our reading list. And then through a lot of discussion at our annual January meeting, we whittle that down in a very difficult process to select our 40 nominees. We aim to include fiction, nonfiction, graphic novels, and we really try to represent multiple points of view across each category, striving for high reader interest. And then those nominees are put out into the world. Kids read them and vote, and then we end up with our winners next year. So the books I'm about to announce are the 2023-24 nominees for the Great Lakes Street Books Award. And voting will open immediately following this broadcast. You can start reading right away. We'll start with K1. These are in alphabetical order by the author's last name. Because I'm a librarian and that's the only way I can do it. So for K1, our first nominee is Anglerfish, the Sea Devil of the Deep by Elaine M. Alexander, illustrated by Fiona Fogg. Taking readers 13,000 feet below the ocean surface, this book shines a small light on the primordial anglerfish a fierce-toothed fish that uses its remarkable physical attributes and talent for deception to survive in one of the harshest environments on the planet. This is books, or even as an adult, I came away having learned something wild. Absolute favorite. Our second nominee in K1 is Night Owl, Christopher Denise. A determined owl builds strength and confidence in this medieval tale about the real mettle of a hero: wits, humor, and heart. Truly, just wonderful illustrations and a wonderfully sweet story. Our next nominee for K1 is Berry Song by Michaela Goat. As a young Tlingit girl collects wild berries over the seasons, she sings with her grandmother and learns to speak to the land and listen when the land speaks back. All of these illustrations are truly remarkable. This is actually they're just all so incredibly gorgeous. You can see why she's a lot of recognition. Alrighty. Our next nominee in K1, How to Party Like a Snail by Nassim Harab, illustrated by Kelly Collier. Snail, an introvert who retreats into his shell when parties get loud, finds his party invites drying up and decides to plan his own quiet party with his new friend Stump, a fellow introvert, in this funny book that makes quiet so much fun. So just so very relatable. Our next nominee in K1 is Out of a Jar by Deborah Marcero. Llewellyn, a little rabbit overwhelmed by his emotions, hides away his feelings in glass jars until he discovers life is more colorful when he sets his emotions free. Relatable. I just love the way this is portrayed. You know, bottle things up, shove them in a closet until suddenly you can't do it anymore. Somewhere in the Bayou by Jarrett Pumphrey and Jerome Pumphrey. Rat, squirrel, rabbit, and mouse want to cross the bayou. But next to the log they're considering as a bridge is a sneaky tail. This is mirrored. There we go, right here. A sneaky tail, which may be attached to someone dangerous. Each of the four approach the problem with a different strategy, with varying results. This one is surprising. Gives John Klassen vibes, like this is not my hat, or I want my hat back. One committee member described it as barbaric. This is fun. I'm not showing anything from the inside because I can't give it away. Next in K1 is That's Not My Name by Anusha Syed. Anusha Syed. How ironic. During her first day of school, when her classmates mispronounce her name, Mirha shies away from correcting them, wondering if she should find a new one, until her mama helps her to see just how special her name is. Sweet. Really adorable illustrations as well. I believe I mispronounced the author's name. Last one in K1 is Fox at Night by Corey R. Tabor. Fox overcomes his fear of monsters when he meets real nocturnal animals. This is an excellent beginning reader. Really fun illustrations. Fox is a wonderfully recognizable character. All right, so those are our 8 nominees for K1. You can start reading right away and start voting. You know who's going to win next year. Moving into 2-3, our first nominee is Farmhouse by Sophie Blackall. A farmhouse provides the setting for a dozen children to live and grow, and when they leave, another family arrives to fill the house with love again. Sophie Blackall described this as layered. The illustrations is layered, and I think the story is layered as well. She actually discovered an old farmhouse out in the woods, researched the family who lived there, and then used pieces of it to create her illustrations. I can't find the one that I wanted to share. It is just truly stunning. Our next nominee in 2-3 is My Parents Won't Stop Talking by Emma Hunsinger and Tilly Walden. A little girl has big plans for her day at the park, but when her two moms stop to talk to some chatty neighbors, she is convinced that her whole day will be completely ruined. I feel like this one is very relatable for both adults and children reading. Also, I find it super unique. Tilly Walden is a graphic novelist, typically for teen, but the way they collaborated is both Emma and Tilly wrote the story, Tilly illustrated the backgrounds, Emma the characters, and then they both worked on the coloring together. Okay. Put it on the shelf. There we go. Okay. Next up in 2-3 is Listen to the Language of the Trees, a story of how forests communicate underground, by Tara Kelly, illustrated by Marie Hermanson. Readers will discover that trees have their own social network, and helping one another thrive is trending. I love that description. This captures the magic of the idea of trees taking care of their neighbors, not to mention the mysterious fungi that help them do it. I hadn't given a whole lot of thought prior to coming across this book as to what happens below ground in a forest. But now I know. And it includes some really excellent back matter, which is always important in nonfiction. Reader. Ivy Lost and Found by Cynthia Lord, illustrated by Stephanie Gregan, first in the Book Buddies series. Ivy was Anne the librarian's doll when she was a young girl, but now she has moved to Anne's library to be the newest Book Buddy, a toy that can be checked out just like a book. First of all, what a great program idea. The story is told from Ivy's point of view as she is refound after being packed away, brought to the library, and then checked out by a child. Into a biography, we have The Sweetest Scoop, Ben & Jerry's Ice Cream Revolution by Lisa Robinson, illustrated by Stacy Innerst. This fun-filled biography of legendary ice cream makers Ben and Jerry reveals how they started their business, made it successful, and became activists to make the world better, one scoop at a time. Some favorite things I would just take a moment to point out are the really excellent honey jokes made by cows throughout the story. And my personal favorite is this graveyard of failed ice cream flavors or ice cream flavor names. Favorite is definitely Vermonti Python. But I really loved how this portrayed how many times they failed and how they came back from that and tried something new. That is a lesson we can all do with hearing every once in a while. Next in this category is Abdul's Story by Jamila Tompkins Bigelow, illustrated by Tiffany Rose. Having a hard time writing down all the stories he loves to tell on paper, Abdul gets some help from a special visitor to his class, who shows him that even the best writers and superheroes make mistakes. Sweet one, too. I really loved the image you're getting at the child's level. Sharing that you just can't make assumptions about other people. 2-3 is Nano, the spectacular science of the very, very small, by Dr. Jess Wade, illustrated by Melissa Castrillo. In this STEM-ready book, an acclaimed physicist takes readers into the cutting-edge world of nanoscience, where they will learn about the tiny building blocks that make up the world around us. This is another one where after I read it, I was like, I had no idea about so many of the things included. The idea of potentially there being a super sieve created using nanotechnology that makes it possible to filter seawater into drinkable water would be absolutely world-changing. And they're just really captivating. The final nominee in 2-3 is Wildfire by Ashley Wolf. Illustrations and easy-to-read text reveal the struggles of forest animals to survive when fire breaks out on Spruce Mountain and the actions of the firefighters who work through the night to stop the blaze. The author's son was a hotshot firefighter for 3 years. Gets that out west. And A lot of interest, either with the animals portrayed or the firefighters. Really beautiful illustrations. Ultimately hopeful. Alrighty, moving into the intermediate years, we have our 4th and 5th grade category. First up is a middle grade graphic novel, Another Kind, by Kate May and Trevor Bream. When 6 not quite human kids with strange and unpredictable powers are kidnapped by the mysterious Collector, they must band together to thwart his devious plan before they become part of his collection. Really excellent illustrations, cryptid kids, found family, road trip, adventure. This has got everything. Next up is Valentina Salazar is Not a Monster Hunter by Zoraida Cordova. 11-and-a-half-year-old Valentina Salazar grew up as a monster protector until her father's loss. But when a video of a mythical egg appears, Valentina convinces her older brother and sister to help her find and save it, all while avoiding the monster hunters who want to destroy it. This one features another road trip, sibling adventure, really excellent creatures included, such as a fire monk, which is a chipmunk, breathes fire, is on fire, and an oropuma, mountain lion with a snake for tail and wings. Just, it's really fabulous. Next up in this category is To the Front. Clara Barton braves the Battle of Antietam. I'm so sorry for the glare. I planned this out. It's not working. By Claudia Friedel, illustrated by Christopher Sear. Civil War nurse Clara Barton and her heroic efforts during the Battle of Antietam reveal how she came to be called the Angel of the Battlefield and recounts her journey to become one of our country's greatest humanitarians and the founder of the American Red Cross. It's really fabulous. I love being able that we are able to include in the picture book nonfiction with our intermediate. The topic is war, so it is definitely appropriate for this age group. Well, can't find the image I'm looking for, but we'll do. Okay. The illustrations are great. I'm struggling. My apologies. Okay, next up in this category is A Duet for Home by Karina Yan Glazer. 2 children living in a homeless shelter whose friendship grows over a shared love of classical music, June and Tyree, join forces to confront a new housing policy that puts homeless families in danger. Next up in 4-5 is Answers in the Pages by David Levithan. When his mother rallies other parents to pull the book he's reading from the district curriculum because it depicts a relationship between 2 boys, Donovan must speak up and stand out to stop this book from being banned. Sadly timely. What I really love about David Levithan is that he always surprises me with what he chooses to do with points of view. It's a rather slim children's chapter book, but it features points of view from Donovan, the main character. You get snippets of the book in question, the book within the book, and you also get a third point of view, a boy named Gideon who has become friends with the new boy in school, Roberto, and it is always surprising to see how those 3 come together. Next up in 4-5 is Coming Up Short by Lori Morrison. When her father embezzles money from a client, causing a scandal that shakes up the world, softball star shakes up her world, Softball star B must find a way to be the best version of herself when everything she loves falls apart. This was a nomination from a Michigan resident. So if you have books that you think are really excellent, make sure you send them to us so that we're aware. Also, it's a middle grade sports book. You gotta love that. Also, the families represented were different than anything I had seen before. Oh, okay, sorry. Get some comments. Okay, next up in 4-5 is The Aquanaut by Dan Santat, a middle grade graphic novel. With her father lost at sea, Sophie wanders aimlessly around Aqualand, a marine theme park, until an Aquanaut, air quotes, breaks into the park's research lab, revealing Aqualand's dark side and vowing to free the captive marine life with her help. And always has just absolutely Amazing artwork. So paired with Free Willy. It's a great combination. After I read it, I had to rewatch it. So there you go. And last in our 4-5 category is The Real Dada Mother Goose, a treasury of complete nonsense by Jon Scieszka, illustrated by Julia Rothman. This is kids' poetry. The classic nursery rhymes we know and love, upside down, backward, in gibberish, and fresh out of bounds, as only Jon Scieszka could stage them. You may recognize this version of Mother Goose Tales. My mom had that when she was a child, and we have it now. But the really excellent thing about this book is that they have taken a couple of those original poems that'll be really recognizable, like Humpty Dumpty, Hickory Dickory Dock, example, etc., and then shown them in reimagine them in different ways, such as here's the censored version of Humpty Dumpty, here's the definition version of Humpty Dumpty, there's the boring version of Humpty Dumpty, and the postcard version. Really excellent. Some of our favorites were N+7, which, there we go. If you're not sure, it's where you take the first noun in the line, find it in a dictionary, count 7 words down, and replace it with that 7th word instead, resulting in hickory dickory dolphin, and etc. I'd never heard of that before, but I loved it. There's also additional information in the back, a little bit of explanation of some of them, like Morse code. The explanation for Esperanto had my children and I literally laughing until we cried, and we bring it up all of the time. He also goes over some Mother Goose history of Blanche Fisher Wright, who is the illustrator of this edition, and trying to figure out just who was Mother Goose. It's really fabulous. That brings us to our middle school nominees, 6 through 8. Okay. Excellent. So we are going to kick it off with Ivelisse Explains It All by Andrea Beatriz Arango, illustrated by Alyssa Bermudez. 12-year-old Ivelisse is trying to manage her mental health and advocate for the help and understanding she deserves. But in the meantime, her new friend calls her crazy, and her abuela Mimi dismisses the therapy and medicine Ivelisse needs to feel like herself. Really wonderful book with some heavier topics, but ultimately hopeful. It's written in verse and as journal entries. I can't tilt this. I don't want to give it away. Also an excellent audiobook if anyone's looking for something to listen to. Next up in middle grade is Scout is Not a Band Kid by Jade Armstrong. It's a middle grade graphic novel. When Scout learns that her favorite author is doing an exclusive autograph session at the end of the year, she's determined to be there. She officially needs a plan. And when she finds out that her school's band is heading to the same location for their annual trip, an idea takes shape. Being a band kid can't be that hard, right? As a former band kid, I don't know how possible this actually is, although apparently one of our committee members did just this, so it must be possible, but I don't know how you could fake playing a trombone for a year. But it's really fun to hear how Scout did it. Next in 6-8 is The Wolves and Moose of Isle Royale by Nancy F. Castaldo. Photography by Morgan Heim. I left out the subtitle. My apologies. The Wolves and Moose of Isle Royale, Restoring an Island Ecosystem. Journey to the isolated islands of Isle Royale National Park in Lake Superior, where the longest predator-prey study in the world is being conducted, along with a genetic rescue to save not only the wolves and moose, but the entire island ecosystem. It's really fascinating to me. Not only does it provide history on the island and on the various balances of the ecosystem on the island, in addition to really great photographs, it also gives biographies of the people working on the predator-prey study. It follows the journey of the author and photographer on their specific trip to the island and what they learned, and looking to the future. Also, how cool that a scientist in the field series chose a Michigan location for one of the books. I went to Up in 6-8 is Frankie and Bug by Gail Forman. In the summer of 1987, in Venice, California, 10-year-old Bug and her new friend Frankie learn important lessons about life, family, being your true self, and how to navigate in a world that is not always just or fair. This is a really fabulous book. I'm not sure how I feel about a book written the year I was born being considered historical fiction, but I guess I'm just going to have to get used to that. Really fabulous topics covered. Also, if you're looking for an audiobook, this one is narrated by Stockard Channing of Grease fame. She played Rizzo. She does a great job. Next up in 6-8 is Jennifer Chan is Not Alone by Tay Keller. When Jennifer Chan, a new girl who believes she can find aliens, goes missing, Mallory Moss sets out to find her and must figure out why Jennifer might have run and face the truth inside herself. I don't give anything away, so I'm going to just leave it at that. Next in 6-8 is Salt Magic by Hope Larson, illustrated by Rebecca Mock. This is a middle grade graphic novel. Find something that's not a spoiler. This might be. Pretty. When a mysterious woman shows up at the farm, accusing Von Seal's older brother of leaving her after World War I, and places a curse on the family and the town, Von Seal must delve deep into the world of witchcraft to solve the mystery. If I had to give a mashup description of this one, it would be fantasy western. It's very unique. I'd never encountered a setting quite like it before, but they're all good. Another graphic novel for the 6-8 category is Tin Man by Justin Madsen. A girl and her brother befriend the titular Tin Man with unexpected results. Campbell right here, is a tin woodsman, a clunky metal man whose sole purpose in life is to chop down trees. He longs for more, however, and decides to seek out a heart, believing that with one, he'll be able to feel things he has never felt before, and therefore change his life. It's told from the points of view of Campbell and also a brother-sister duo, Fen and Solar, as their lives come together in unexpected ways, as you might expect. There's a definite Wizard of Oz vibe going on here. I don't know if I'd say it was inspired by, but some of the events are definitely inspired. It's really unique art. Last for our middle school, category is another graphic novel, The Golden Hour by Nikki Smith. Struggling with anxiety after witnessing a harrowing instance of gun violence, Manuel Soto copes through photography, using his cell phone camera to find anchors that keep him grounded. His days are a lonely latchkey monotony until he's teamed with his classmates, Sebastian and Keisha, for a group project. Nikki always has really interesting artwork, and I loved the juxtaposition of the really dark images that portray Manuel struggling. And then also really bright, vibrant pages as he's connecting with new friends and discovering a new hobby through photography. Our final category, I must be talking really fast, my apologies. Our final category is our 9th through 12th grade nominees. And we will begin with Hollow Fires by Samira Ahmed. Aspiring journalist Sophia Mirza investigates the murder of a 14-year-old boy who was wrongfully arrested, labeled a terrorist, and eventually killed, seeking to tell the whole truth about the boy and those who killed him because of their hate-filled beliefs. In a second. Next up is The Name She Gave Me by Betty Colley. Rin was born with a hole in her heart, literally. Although it was fixed long ago, she still feels an emptiness there when she wonders about her birth family. As her relationship with her adoptive mother fractures, Rin finally decides she needs to know more about the rest of her family. This is a teen book written in verse, features sibling bonds, found family, birth and adoptive family, and learning who you are yourself. Really fabulous. The author was inspired by her own journey to locate her birth family and siblings. Next up is a nonfiction title, Murder Among Friends, How Leopold and Loeb Tried to Commit the Perfect Crime by Candace Fleming. Taking readers back to 1924, this shocking true crime story follows two 18-year-old college students who kidnapped and murdered a child they both knew, their trial, and how a renowned defense attorney enabled them to avoid the death penalty. Well, no, this is true. I'm second guessing myself. To pair these two together, Hollow Fires is a fictionalized version of this true crime event. It's a really unique opportunity to pair fiction and nonfiction. Up in 9 through 12 is You'd Be Home Now by Kathleen Glasgow. After a fatal car accident that reveals Emery's brother Joey's opioid addiction, Emery struggles to help him on his road to recovery and make herself heard in a town that insists on not listening. Next up in 9-12, Ain't Burned All the Bright by Jason Reynolds, illustrated by Jason Griffin. A smash up, I love that description, of art and text that viscerally captures what it means to not be able to breathe and how the people and things you love most are actually the oxygen you most need. I use one word to describe this, it would be profound. It is quite thick, but the narrative is only 3 sentences. The artwork is done in a moleskin notebook, scanned in, combined with the images. And it is just absolutely fabulous. Getting to the end. Next up in our 9 through 12 category is I Must Betray You by Ruta Sepetys. Originally born and raised in Michigan, yes, the author. In a country governed by isolation, fear, and a tyrannical dictator, 17-year-old Cristian Florescu is blackmailed by the secret police to become an informer. But he decides to use his position to try to outwit his handler, undermine the regime, give voice to fellow Romanians, and expose to the world what is happening in his country. Oh, good. It's fabulous. If you're looking for an audiobook, this is also a really fabulous one. Ruta Sepetys is experiencing extreme popularity at our library right now, probably because we keep featuring her on display because nobody writes historical fiction quite like she does. In our 9 through 12 category is All My Rage by Sabaa Tahir. A family extending from Pakistan to California deals with generations of young love, old regrets, and forgiveness. This was also this year's Printz Award winner for Best Young Adult Literature, selected by the American Library Association. It's always very fun and satisfying when books that we have selected to be our nominees are then also recognized by other groups. We meet to select ours in January, so it's just always really fun to see. And our last book for 9 through 12 category is The Sunbearer Trials by Aidan Thomas. Chosen to participate in the Sunbearer Trials, where the loser is sacrificed to refuel the Sunstones, Teo, the 17-year-old trans son of the goddess of birds, must compete against more powerful and better trained opponents for fame, glory, and his own survival. This was originally pitched as Hunger Games meets Percy Jackson, and while there are definite elements from both, there's nothing quite like this been written before. A truly fabulous, fabulous story, excellent representation, just a really fun adventure. I was 95% of the way through it before I remembered it's the first book in a duology, and then that made me very happy. So, a fan. Okay, that is the end of our list of nominees for this upcoming year. So let's go into what to do about it. So, take a drink. Now that the nominees have been announced, we'll be getting that out on our website and our social media platforms. You can begin, and voting is really easy to do so. Voting begins right now. Well, as soon as I unlock voting after this presentation. So, give me an hour. So beginning today, March 19th, 2023, you'll be able to vote until mid-January 2024. We collect votes for a really long time to give everybody a chance to read, especially in the upper grades. It can take a while to get through that many chapter books. But you may do so at the address on the screen, michiganreading.org/great-lakes-great-books. You really only need to have read one to vote, but we hope that you'll read and enjoy many of our nominees. Speaking of nominees, I forgot to do that. Next year, or during this year, if you are interested in nominating titles that you think are wonderful and that we should be aware of, you may also do that at the michiganreading.org website. We love nominees, especially from people who have read and loved books. In Michigan, we want to hear from you. You may nominate year-round. There is no cutoff. Well, there is a cutoff per year, but then we open nominees for the following year immediately. So you can nominate anytime. If you don't want to do it through the website, you can also just email me at greatlakesgreatbooks@gmail.com. Also available on our website is a folder titled Teacher Resources that I'm going to unlock in just a minute. I wanted to share with you a couple of things included in that. Not only will there be a list of all the winners, the nominees, so that you have access to those. You don't have to rewatch this every single time. There are really wonderful options. So, committee member Amanda Pierce every year makes this really excellent poster, one-page sheet with all 40 nominees on it, information on how to contact us and how to vote in various sizes. I printed off the 8.5 by 11. There are also individual category flyers with covers, QR codes, and a URL for voting if you wanted to vote on the individual ballots. There's also an educator ballot, which allows you to collect votes from a group of children and submit them all at once, so you don't have to do the individual ballot 100 times. We also have bookmarks made by committee member Nicole Johnson. We have the version with just the text, the version with the covers. You can print whichever works best for you. I also think these work great as paper ballots. If you wanted your kids to mark them in person and then collect them and tally them up, circle whichever one they want to go by. We also have a list of all the past winners going back to 1987, which is really fascinating, I think, by category and by year. There's also a paper ballot. A lot of things in there. If there is not something that you would like to use to get the word out to kids or share it in some other way, email me. Please let me know. I'm happy to make it or see if I can find somebody who can make it. We would love to make this work for teachers, librarians, school librarians, daycare providers, homeschooling parents, anybody who works with Michigan kids. We want to help you share these books with the children in your lives. If you are interested in joining our committee or just looking for more information on what exactly is involved in that, please email me at greatlakesgreatbooks@gmail.com. We have a couple of openings and we would love to have you join. That went fast. I must have talked really fast, so my apologies. Does anybody have any questions? If you put them in Facebook, or I believe Twitter, and ask them in the comments section. They will appear to me and I can answer them. Otherwise, I think that's about it. Thanks, Mom. My mom's commenting. I know which one you commented about, saying I love this book. So I must betray you. So good. Let's see. So I'm going to switch this back to the web address in case you're looking. We're also on social media, Facebook and Twitter at Miss GLG Books, or on Instagram at Great Lakes Great Books. You can send us messages there. In a couple of moments, we'll be posting all the winners and the nominees and basically flooding all of those channels with announcements, and feel free to share them and get the word out. We're always excited to have more people get involved. Otherwise, that is all I have. Thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed hearing what Michigan kids enjoyed most last year with their reading, and I hope you're as excited as we are about the books nominated for this year. Oh, I might have questions. Oh. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dana. Have a great day.